A glorious morning to everyone. Our lessons for this week are anchored on the competency employ analytical listening and problem solving. The following are the learning objectives for this lesson. First, define and discuss implicit and explicit signals in communication. Second, differentiate implicit from explicit signals. And the third one, identify the type of signals used in statements or scenarios. For you to track correctly the lesson, please be guided with these questions. 1. What are implicit and explicit signals? 2. How are implicit signals different from the explicit ones? And 3. How can implicit and explicit signals be identified? Communication is an integral part of life. Everything can be acquired through it. It is considered free, however, limitations are set depending on the type of message communicated, place, the message's confidentiality, and of course, the timing. There are messages that must be delivered verbally, either in print or oral, and messages delivered through gestures and signs. So let's get to know more about explicit and implicit signals in communication. So let's begin with explicit signals. Explicit signals in communication refer to the things we say or write that are often intended to influence actions. These are spoken or written messages that are clearly stated, and they show proof that the message is communicated. So examples of this are the print or the oral. So let's have an example. Let's try to study this comic strip, and let's try to find out what are the explicit signals used by the characters in their conversation in the comic strip. So in the conversation, the explicit signals are: first, the girl peed. Second, she peed like a boy. Now, why are these considered to be explicit signals? It is simply because the girl said it clearly to her mother. Let's have another example. So I have here a poster. You try to analyze the poster and elicit explicit signals used. Alright, so what are the explicit signals used? Here they are. The first one, the animals are just like humans. Second, animals are not for experiments. And the third one, they are not to be eaten, or to be worn, or to entertain. Now, why are these considered to be explicit? It is simply because these messages are clearly stated in the text. So, let's have a catch. Explicit signals in communication are clear and detailed. If you can point out a text or refer back to it, then it is explicit. How about implicit signals? Implicit signals, on the other hand, are statements or messages that can be understood but are not stated. To get the message, you have to reread, analyze the statement, and look for clues that might help you to decode it. Though implicit signals are not stated or written, the idea is there, and one knows the message by reading between the lines. So let's go back with the comic strip used a while ago. There are explicit signals used in this comic strip, and there are also implicit signals used. So let's try to analyze and let's find out what are these implicit signals used. So the implicit signals are, number one, the late reaction of the mother accompanied by her facial gestures about how her daughter peed. Why is it implicit? It is because the mother did not say it, the mother did not utter it, but it was her reaction which showed that she was shocked. Another implicit signal is the instance of doubt about what her daughter did when she said, "Wait a second." Why is it implicit? It is because, again, the mother did not utter it, but it's her reaction that shows that she was in doubt. Let's have another example. You try to analyze the conversation in this image, and you elicit the implicit signals used in this image. So the implicit signal is to conclude that the sheep is very happy to see what he thought is a real Pegasus. It's implicit. The sheep didn't say it. "I am so happy I saw a real Pegasus." However, this happiness was shown when he said, "Yes," accompanied with a smile on his face. Alright, let's have a catch. Implicit signals are those which you can refer to using explicit signals. They are not stated, but they can be understood with the help of gestures and movements. To sum it up, in this session, you learned about explicit and implicit signals and how they differ from one another. Explicit signals are clearly stated, which can be referred back to in the sentence. They are plainly stated and leave no space for doubt. While implicit signals are inferred by the help of explicit ones. They can be statements that have deeper meanings than the littler ones. Examples are the body gestures or movements or facial expressions. Though different from each other, both signals are important in conveying or decoding the meaning of messages, whether literal or figurative. Alright, so let's check your understanding with this comprehension checkpoint. What you will do is, you have to identify whether the given item is explicit or implied. So identify the type of information each item is asking. You only have to encircle the letter of your choice, and then, in a single sentence, explain why. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. He had a great fall. So it is asking for an explicit one. So which of the choices do you think would be asking explicit? Of course, it is letter B. What did he feel falling from the wall? Okay, so the explanation is, it is the question which answer can be found in the text. So let's have number 1. Amy wanted to buy new 6 pairs of shoes, but she doesn't have money. Which question from the list below would be considered explicit? Is it A, why does she want those shoes? B, where will she get the money? C, where will she buy them? Or D, what does Amy want? So what is your answer? So which of the questions in the choices have a direct answer from the text? That would be the correct answer. So of course, it is letter B. Let's have item number 2. Rosie explained herself to prevent others from judging her. What implicit information can be drawn from the story? A. Rosie explains. B. She avoids judgment. C. Rosie wants to protect herself. Or D. She hated everyone. So what is the implicit information can be drawn here? Of course, the correct answer is letter C. Rosie wants to protect herself. Okay, so for the remaining items, you please do it by yourself. So before we end this day, I would like you to leave this thought to ponder on. There's no such thing as mixed messages. If you want to know how they truly feel, stop focusing on what they say. Look at what they do and how you feel when they do it. That's from Charles J. Orlando. Thank you for listening. See you on our next session. Enjoy learning. Goodbye.